Am I the butthole for telling my son he has to go to university, get a job, or get out? My wife and I have 3 children. They are 17, 15, and 10. My oldest has no intention to do anything after high school. At least none he has made clear to us. So I gave him the same ultimatum my parents gave me. Either go to university, get a job, or get the frick out. I chose to travel the world for 2 years. I had a lot of sailing experience and my father had a lot of friends in that community, so I was able to sail around the world earning money and working my ass off. It wasn't a 2-year vacation. My family is well off and I could have chosen an indolent life. But I knew I would be a disappointment if I chose that. So when I got back I enrolled in university and eventually went to work for the family business. My wife thinks that I'm being unfair to our poor baby boy throwing him out into the world. I'm not. We have the money to pay for his university. We have the money for all 3 kids. My middle child will probably end up with a good chunk of it in her pocket. She is on track for an academic as well as a golf scholarship. The 10-year-old is 10 and who knows what he's going to do. But he knows the plan. We have not been secretive about this rule. My wife and I agreed that we would raise productive members of society before we got engaged. Her and my son think I'm being cruel to expect him to fend for himself at 18. I have offered him multiple opportunities to do other things. He has no interest in anything beyond his computer. I am at a loss. I don't think I'm wrong for expecting an adult to adult. My parents have already told him that they will not be giving him any money if he isn't in school or working. My wife is threatening to use her salary to support him. I don't have any say in that. I won't actually kick him out of the house, but I will stop paying his bills and cut off our grocery budget by 20%. If she wants to work so he doesn't have to, there is nothing I can do about that. Not the butthole assuming that a trade school, apprenticeship, or community college would also be acceptable. It's not fending for oneself when the parents tell the kids go to university, we pay for it, you stay under our roof or work, keep your money to yourself, you stay under our roof or choose to do nothing with your life and you'll have to fend for yourself. Not at all. You don't even give him ultimatums about what to study or what job to take. He could bum around from major to major or from minimum wage job to another, while figuring out what he wants to do with his life. With all expenses paid. He's not going to get sudden inspiration on how to spend his adult life by staying home and doing nothing. Not the butthole, for actually parenting your kid. Edit, typos. Edit 2, I just had the realization, I'm sure had I read the other comments I would notice people notice that too, that your offer either forces your son to stay home and work/study or leave house and work. He might as well choose the easiest solution, which is not leave the house to struggle and then default to taking the first job available. Not the butthole. But at the same time, it doesn't really sound like you're helping him understand his options, you're just giving him a list of things you think he should do based off your own childhood. It's been 20 years, the job landscape has changed, and the opportunities and careers available to you when you were his age are going to be different than the ones available today even if they share the same title. Yeah, he might be lazy, but he might also just be overwhelmed, knows what he doesn't want to do, and has no idea where to look to figure out what he does want to do. Could also add in a sprinkle of being afraid to fail at things if he tries, especially if he's already being looked at as a failure before he has even begun, which is a valid concern based off how you talk about him. Actually talk to him and listen, don't talk at him. Try to step back and look at the future state he wants to be in, and focus less on the how right now. If it's too overwhelming, it's hard to be ambitious when you don't have a goal, and he needs to create one right now. I don't know how helpful career counselors are for teens when it comes to collecting their thoughts and building out their goals, but as a college dropout, I found talking to one incredibly helpful at the beginning of my career to get myself into the right mindset in pursuing growth, and I make more than all of my friends who didn't go into STEM and hopped into college and graduate school without direction. What kind of life does he envision for himself in the future? Is he looking to make enough money to live off of and have a savings account, but wants more personal time, or does he want to run a business someday? Does he want the ability to travel the world, or does he prefer to stay in the States? Does he like the idea of working on a team and managing others, or does he prefer to be an individual contributor? Does he like working on computers, or is it just a hobby? Does he have any strengths that he can lean in on? Break down the big task of figuring out the future and a career into smaller tasks and help him understand what his options are besides a nebulous go to college and get a job. Not the butthole, but all your efforts will be pointless if you and your wife can't get on the same page. I think you need to talk this out further with her, try and make her see you're helping him in the long run by making a firm boundary on this. Am I the butthole for going to a wedding after leaving my GF behind because of the way she looks? 2 months ago I received an invitation to my boss's wedding, which was yesterday. My girlfriend, 29, was going to be my 30 male, plus one. My girlfriend loves to dress up and wear short dresses and I love that, and as long as she is comfortable I'm cool with anything. However, my boss and his wife are very conservative. In the invitation, they asked for all men to wear black suits and the women to wear a long dress with long sleeves and no dramatic makeup. I talked about it with my girlfriend saying that it is okay if she doesn't come, but as it is my boss I must go. She told me it was fine and she doesn't mind wearing a long dress and no heavy makeup. I was so happy. We both looked for dresses online and I bought them. Yesterday when I went to pick her up she was wearing the exact opposite of the dress code. She wore a short dress and dramatic makeup. Whilst she looked gorgeous, I told her so. I asked what happened to the other dress that she was going to wear. She said that it's unreasonable and misogynistic for dictating what women should wear. I told her that it's the bride's wish and we should not disrespect it on her wedding day. I asked you about this and you said you didn't mind. And we are not leaving until she changes. She got mad and got down of the car saying she will not attend a misogynist wedding. I said fine and drove off. Now she is not answering her phone and her friends are calling me a sexist and cruel man. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole. The wedding wasn't about her, and showing up with her out of dress code would damage your relationship with your boss and thus career. She just didn't want to be told what to do and found an excuse: misogyny. It's not misogyny, it's respect. The men were also told to look a certain way. Not the butthole. This was manipulative. She pretended to agree while planning on bulldozing you. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter that she can't expect me to do the hard things for her just because she doesn't want to do them? I have a 17-year-old daughter named Eva who is gay. She came out years ago, but honestly before she ever said anything to me, she made it clear as a child that she wanted very little to do with boys. My half-brother James and I reconnected about 2 years ago. We knew of each other as children, but I didn't know for sure that he and I shared the same dad. We ended up doing a DNA test after our father died and confirmed that we were siblings. So now we've gotten to know one another again and we've been slowly introducing our families to each other. He has 2 kids that are just a few years younger than my daughter, so Eva was really excited about finally having some cousins closer to her age. The ones on her mom's side are significantly younger. She's also excited about getting to know more of my family since I'm not very close with the rest of them. We've met up a few times and it's always gone well. Everyone gets along with each other. At dinner a little while ago, James joked that Eva's boyfriends would have to answer to me, her uncle, and her male cousins if they broke her heart. Eva just laughed a little and said that she wasn't concerned about boys so they wouldn't have to worry about that. Later when they were gone, she asked me if I knew how James and his family felt about the LGBTQ community. I told her that I wasn't sure because it had never come up, so then she asked me if I could find out for her. I said that she should just talk to them about it directly since she was the one with the question, but then she said that she didn't want to ask because she didn't know James as well as I did and it would probably be easier for me to bring it up instead. I ended up telling her that she can't expect me to do hard things for her just because she doesn't want to do them, and if she wants to tell my brother/his family that she's gay or even find out their opinions on LGBTQ people, then she should do that herself. I thought she had let it go, but she's been giving me the cold shoulder for a bit. My ex-wife actually called me earlier and told me I was being obtuse about the situation and that I actually should be willing to do this for our daughter. I feel that Eva disclosing her identity is a responsibility that should fall on her, and it's not my job to pave that road for her. Evidently my ex and Eva both think it is and that I'm being insensitive as well, so I wanted some outside opinions. Edit. I love my daughter, and I'm proud of her. Even in wanting her to find out about my brother's views on her own, I never would have left her to handle that without me, at least in the room. Reading the comments, I realized that I wasn't teaching her how to be independent and do things on her own. I was likely making her feel completely unsupported. I saw this as a facing her anxieties thing, instead of truly thinking about it as a safety issue. I should have tried to see it from her point of view. I recognize that, and I will do more to learn in the future. I'm going to apologize to her, and ask how she wants to go about this. It is absolutely your job to protect your daughter. How have you been a parent for 17 years and not realized this? You're the butthole. You're the butthole. Here's the thing. People can completely change in their treatment of a person when they learn they aren't straight. I've seen the nicest people in my own family turn into the most hateful people the moment anything rainbow comes up. You never know who bigots can be, and they are also capable of being the kindest and loving people to people they aren't hateful towards. You're right in that it should be her responsibility to tell them, if she chooses. However, she is asking you as her parent to find out if these are safe people for her to be out to. One of the jobs of a parent is to protect their kids. She wants to know, rightfully so, if she comes out if the reaction is going to be ugly and upsetting or if it will go well. After all, this sounds like a newer familial bond and she may be looking to see if she should invest her time in building a relationship with them. If they turn out to be Westboro Baptist sympathizers, she may not want to invest into the relationship. You're the butthole. This isn't hard stuff, this is making sure they are safe people to come out to. Am I the butthole for refusing a person a plate after they showed up uninvited? Everyone is mid-late 20s. My boyfriend and I have been hosting Monday night dinner parties at our apartment for about a year. It's not every week but most. I have food allergies and it's hard to go out, so this has been a good alternative. About 2 months ago, an old high school friend Layla moved to my city with her fiancé Lucas and I started inviting them to our dinners. Lucas is insufferable. He will never try again his food before adding additional seasoning, which is a pet peeve of mine, but I could get over it if he ate it, but it ends up directly in the trash. He'll add a bunch of salt to an already salted dish, take one bite and then say ew, it's too salty. Or dump a ton of red pepper on and then complain that it's too spicy. And etc. It's like he deliberately ruins his plate so he can complain about it. It's probably petty, but it really got under my skin. And it bugs my boyfriend too to toss food that would have been perfectly good without his tampering. I put up with this for 5 dinners and stopped inviting them. I've still texted and met with Layla for coffee, but I haven't extended another dinner invite. They showed up this Monday without an invite right as we were starting dinner. Lucas sat down and started filling a plate before my boyfriend stopped him and told him he wasn't welcome to waste more of our food. It turned into an argument where Lucas insisted he shouldn't be forced to eat things he doesn't like, and I got angry and told him how could he be forced when he wasn't even invited? Voices got raised and eventually Layla and Lucas left, but the mood was ruined for the night. Everyone who was present agreed with me, but I guess Layla either told our old friend group or posted about it because I've gotten an odd amount of texts from people I haven't talked to in years calling me an butthole for kicking them out over my crafty cooking. It's not crafty, so maybe I am. A small update, I received a very enlightening text from an old friend that Layla has kept close with. Apparently Lucas did not want to move at all, but Layla was offered an amazing opportunity here, so he agreed. According to this friend, Lucas has also sabotaged happy hour with her new co-workers and always coincidentally needs her at home whenever she wants to go out with new friends. It seems like he is maybe trying to make her unhappy socially here so she'll be willing to move back home. I feel a little guilty for not picking up on this sooner, but I'm grateful for the perspective. I plan to reach out to Layla tomorrow and see if we can have a real talk about her situation. Not the butthole. While you don't owe it to them, I think it might have gone over better to have talked to Layla while you were having coffee, to let her know that his behavior is insulting and wasteful, and that you wouldn't be inviting him to any more dinners if he continued. Unless you explicitly told them, you can't assume they knew it was bothering you, as reasonable and understandable as your position is. I'm sorry to hear that this happened, but I hope you have lovely dinner nights moving forward. How nice of you and your boyfriend to host this regularly. Not the butthole. Make sure you respond to everyone telling them that. 1. Lucas and Layla showed up unannounced and uninvited to your home for your dinner party. 2. Lucas helped himself to your dinner without asking or being invited to it. And you were not planning on 2 extra guests. Then Lucas got mad at your boyfriend when he was stopped because he was not welcome to it. 3. Lucas has behaved very rudely the first, and only, 5 times he's been properly invited to your dinner parties and has not been invited back since because of his inappropriate behavior and wasteful conduct. Therefore, you will not tolerate anyone's disrespect and offensive comments, especially when they do not have all the facts to properly understand the situation to support a side. You will not be discussing it any further with anyone else other than Layla and Lucas, the only other 2 involved, as it's no one else's business. Am I the butthole for causing a scene over wasted food and laziness? My husband has ADHD. Refuses medications. His body has choice. That's not the issue. I'm sure this behavior has something to do with ADHD and pot smoking, but can't say for certain. He's 29, I'm 30F. He has a habit of staying up until 3 a.m. smoking and eating whatever he can get his hands on. Again, not an issue. I don't care what he eats or doesn't eat. I also don't care that he smokes. It does help him, anxiety. My issue is that he will take leftovers out of the fridge to pick it throughout the night and then leave it on the counter overnight. He also leaves his dirty dishes all throughout our bedroom, which has our office space and computers, so I wake up to several dirty dishes all over our desks. Mainly mine because he will set it there also, it's not in his way. So not only is he wasting all the food damn near every night, but he's also creating a pigsty, and he will generally leave the dishes there for 2 to 3 days before he remembers to bring them to the sink to be washed. I've started refusing with every ounce of my being to clean up after him. I've talked to him about it several times and he merely says he forgets to put things away. Doesn't matter what it is. Leftovers, bread, sandwich meat, condiments, milk, etc. When I'm awake I make sure to go to the kitchen after him and put it away because I don't want spoiled food, but I'm usually not awake when he does it, and he doesn't even make an attempt to remember to put things away. Same thing for when he makes dinner. Uses every single pan to make something simple, like spaghetti, and then never puts away anything that he uses, including the dishes. Just leaves them wherever they are. And again, I've talked to him and he says he forgets. So last night he took out the leftover Alfredo and left it right on the stove. I intended to take some with me for lunch but obviously couldn't since he left it out all night. I was freaking pissed because I didn't have time to make myself lunch for work at this point and can't be spending extra money on something on the way because we are financially fricked right now, fraudulent charges to our bank account that we are fighting to get back. So I did wake him up and was pissy about it and basically said that if he was going to be lazy and waste food because he refuses to put anything away after he's done with it and burden me constantly, then I would be putting a lock on the fridge. He gets heated and says that he can't believe how ridiculous I am being over something that he tries to control but can't, and for not being more empathetic to his ADHD or giving him reminders. Am I the butthole? Info. 1. Your husband wastes food. 2. Your husband leaves food out on the counter so it spoils. 3. Your husband does not clean up. 4. Your husband stays up until 3 a.m. smoking pot. 5. Your husband does not appear to be helpful with your fricked financials. Why are you with him? This is like every am I the butthole. My husband/wife/BF/GF is a great person in every way except. And that except is the largest red flag you've ever seen, and is possibly visible from space. He is self-medicating his ADHD with pot. This is common. He is showing standard ADHD behaviors. His refusal to treat his legitimate condition is affecting you. His body, his choice sounds nice, but it's affecting you. I have depression, and when I'm not on meds, I can be a nightmare, which wouldn't be fair to my partner. He's not really being fair to you by not addressing his own mental health issues. Oh my god, this isn't ADHD. This is just buttholery, on his part. I have ADHD and I don't do this lol. And if I did accidentally leave things out overnight, or anything equivalent that stressed my partner out to this extent, I'd be apologizing, not justifying. And I sure as hell wouldn't be telling him it was his problem for not reminding me. Your husband is a grown man and this isn't acceptable. More importantly, it's within his power to change, and it is not up to you to remind him or be more empathetic. Big ol' not the butthole. Take care of yourself, 'cause he sure isn't. Edit to clarify, mess blindness can definitely be an ADHD thing. I have it too. Op's partner isn't an off for struggling with cleanliness, he's an off for ignoring the very real distress he's causing her, and not making an attempt to manage his own condition and fix his behavior. Greater than or giving him reminders. It is not your job to give him reminders, not the butthole. If his ADHD is so serious that he can no longer maintain basic hygiene in his home, then he needs to seek support. More likely, however, is that just he prefers to make his behavior your responsibility. Would I be the butthole if I offered to pay for my sister's college tuition even though our parents don't want her to go off to college? My 27 male, sister 18 female, got a scholarship to go to a very good college this fall. However, our parents don't want her to go to college since they want her to help them take care of our newborn sister, so they are refusing to pay for her tuition, well, at least what needs to be paid after taking into account the scholarship. I do have enough money to pay for the rest of her tuition, thanks to the scholarship, but my parents specifically told me not to butt in. My sister has been really upset and has been crying to me on the phone because she can't even get a student loan, thanks to her lender's credit score criteria, and she's told me in the past that the college she got the scholarship from was her dream school. Would I be the butthole if I asked my sister if I could pay for her college tuition even though our parents don't want her to go off to college? AITA. Your parents sure are. Edit to add, they're basically saying, let's stunt the growth, earnings potential, and ultimately life happiness of one child for our convenience and financial benefit. They are unfit parents. Please pay, give your sister the opportunity to leave your parents and experience her own life. An 18-year-old shouldn't miss out on education because your parents decided to have a baby. She's lucky to have you. Am I the butthole for having boundaries with my son's former guardian? My son was in foster care for a year. During that time he lived with a man I will call Mike. Mike is a decent person. He clearly bonded with my son during that year. Mike frequently texts my son to check on him and ask how he's doing. I guess that's normal. I wouldn't know. My son's birthday is in a couple of months, and Mike messaged me to ask about what my plans were. He wants to be involved. I said I was going to take my son to see his dad, and I would have a small celebration with his friends on the weekend. Mike gave unsolicited advice about my plans and asked if he could go to the party. I said no, but if my son wanted they could meet up some other time for lunch or something. Mike said I was trying to push him out of my son's life. I said I wasn't, but that Mike isn't his parent and technically doesn't have a right to be in his life. I don't mind them talking, but he doesn't need to be involved in everything. Mike said I'm heartless, but he isn't entitled to be treated like family. This absolutely reeks of jealousy. How about talking to your son and asking him if he would like to have Mike there? This isn't about you. This is about your son and what is best for him. If he has a new safe adult in his life that he trusts, then that is amazing and you should be supporting that. If you didn't want your son to have this kind of bond with his foster parent, then you never should have allowed him to be in a position to be in foster care in the first place. The reality is that Mike was his parental figure for a whole year. Sorry, you're the butthole. Why was your son in foster care? Lot depends on this. I'm going to go out on a limb and assuming that it was for parenting reasons. If so, yeah, you're the butthole totally. Your son has a, presumably, positive role model in his life for once and you are taking it away from him. You're the butthole. He is trying to get your son out of that life, and you're just dragging him back down. Number 9-year-olds should be seeing their dad in prison on their birthday. He has 2 convicts as parents and here's someone who's showing an interest in him, something that can help him break the cycle and you're being petty about it. Am I the butthole for deciding to watch my grandson over my son's dogs? Family member told me to post here. My 52 female husband, 56 male, and I have 2 daughters. They are both great kids that are successful, accomplished and I couldn't be more proud, but lead very different lives. We all still live in the same area, the area I raised them at. One, 25 female, travels extensively for work and has an on-again off-again boyfriend and the other, 28 female, is married and has a 3-month-old son. My daughter with the 3-month-old works full-time and is going back to work as her maternity leave is ending. I work part-time but offered to watch my grandson at my house while they are at work. I'd quit my job, which I'm okay doing. We recently had a sit-down about watching him and my daughter and husband gave me a list of rules. One they stressed was no animals around the baby. That one was a bit of a surprise and conflicts with the needs of my other daughter. I asked why, they cited safety. I accepted them, because I want to watch my grandson and be involved in his life. My other daughter that travels for work has a pair of dogs. When she is out of town, she drops the dogs off with me. The dogs can be a bit rambunctious but otherwise behaved. She is usually gone 3 days at a time, usually midweek. So the time that I watch the dogs would conflict with my grandson. I've been watching her dogs for 3 years. I've informed her that I want to watch my grandson and because of that I can't watch the dogs as much anymore. Well, she did not take that news well and flipped out. Says it isn't fair that she now has to find other means to take care of the dogs and it is financially affecting her. I told her I can stop by and check on them in the evenings, but I won't have the time to properly take care of her dogs if they were left at her place. She hasn't spoken to me or her sister in the past week. So was I the butthole here? Yes, you're the butthole for accepting an unreasonable condition to help one of your children at the expense of the other. Would your daughter really have found other accommodations to watch the baby if you stood fast on the no pets rule? Doubtful. Most animals get along well with children. If nothing else, you can find a way to keep them apart if need be. You chose the needs of one daughter over the other, and seem surprised that she's upset about it. I have a feeling the daughter with child knew that you watched these dogs, which is precisely why she made up this rule. You can and should tell this child that you have reconsidered, and can't abide by the no pets rule, so she'll have to find other accommodations when you are going to watch the dogs, or live with it. Don't be bullied by your daughter, just because you want to see the grandchild. Light not the butthole but, both your daughters have relied on you heavily for their needs. Your daughter with the dogs shouldn't be expecting you to watch her dogs constantly when she is out of town. I don't even understand the point of even having dogs, which need so much time and energy, if she's going to be out of town every week or so for 3 days on end. On the flip side, your other daughter shouldn't be relying on you as well when her and her husband work to take care of the child. What happens in the event you're out of town, you're sick, etc.? Does she have a backup? With that being said, I do understand the need to prioritize your grandson over your daughter's dogs, but, Why can't the dog simply be kept in the basement or another room for the hours you have the child? You clearly don't have him 24 hours a day. I also think the no animals anywhere near the child is extremely excessive and prevents you from ever getting your own pet, in the event you would want, let's say, a cat. There needs to be some form of compromise with both daughters, and it needs to start from you. Set ground rules and boundaries within your own home. But ultimately it is your choice, and your grandson comes before dogs. Childless pet owner here. I feel like I read this only from the child's parents' perspective a couple of weeks ago. Anyways, not the butthole. First, if she is traveling that much with work, why does she have dogs? Second, and most importantly, you get to decide who, if any, you are going to look after. Your daughter, dog mom, had the luxury of you helping for 3 years. Now she can find someone else to help out or pay for a sitter.